Agency edition. Hope everybody is feeling right. Hope everyone's living well on this Monday evening. Bud Dupree, he is officially a Tennessee Titan. The terms of the deal reported by Ian Rappaport that we will get into over the course of tonight's show. We will talk about Denico Autry as well. Bud Dupree coming to Nashville. They signed offensive tackle depth. That's going to be very important. Without Isaiah Wilson, and they did it somehow, some way. We will find out the terms of these deals as more information comes out. But in the meantime, John Robinson has done the unthinkable. He has made this situation work when really they didn't have the financial flexibility to do so. We'll talk about the guys that they lost this morning in Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith. Corey going to the Jets. Jonnu also playing in the AFC East next year for the New England Patriots. And then what John Robinson has to do next. That will be the topic of discussion here tonight on A to Z Sports Prime Time. Before we get rolling, you guys got to retweet this show in all of the places that you retweet this show. Retweet it in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Share it on Facebook Live with the share button. Share now to public. YouTube, Twitch TV. Let your people know that we are live streaming here tonight. A little late, but we were trying to make sure that everything was in order before I popped on because it's been a hell of a day for me after the radio show trying to find out all the information on this thing. And, credit to Rap Sheet who got the news first. But it's good news for the Titans that we're going to talk about tonight. Now that more of you are here, I see a lot of you here, we can begin the show officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on a Monday. I'm your host, Buck Rising from the DraftKings Sportsbook Studios, and I am proud, as always, to be presented to you by Two Rivers Ford. That's the name that you know. That's the brand you trust for 5 decades in Middle Tennessee, servicing Middle Tennessee and lifting up the community and your favorite sports teams out in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Stop losing yourself money. Stop costing yourself money. Go plug in the promo code A to Z Sports in the DraftKings Sportsbook app and begin making money today. The Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage, the official real estate agent of the Tennessee Titans. Gary will be helping Bud Dupree, Kendall Lamb, and Denico Autry find their new residences here in Middle Tennessee. Trust the people who your favorite sports teams and your favorite sports streaming show trust at GaryAshton.com. And satisfaction guaranteed. You know this on all of your HVAC needs, courtesy of Brymak Mechanical, BRYMAK. That's Brymak.com. All right. So we know the news. You guys know the situation. We don't want to waste too much time, so let's get right into it. I want your Two Rivers Ford take here tonight on A to Z Sports Prime Time. I want to know what you make of John Robinson's signings today. Scale of 1 to 10. Give me a confidence level in the work that John Robinson did today. Reed, if we can change it from grade to confidence level, producer Reed, your Two Rivers Ford take, scale of 1 to 10. Give me your confidence level in the free agency class so far that John Robinson has brought in, because Bud Dupree is going to be making an average annual salary of $16.5 million a year. He's making more than Matt Judon. He's making more than Carl Lawson. Judon went to New England. The Jets got Carl. So the situation for the Titans is, outside of Shaq Barrett, who will be making north of $17 million a year, the Titans have gotten the second best pass rusher, or the second most expensive pass rusher, out on the free agent market. About $5 million more dollars than you were paying last year for Jadeveon Clowney's services in 1 year. Give me a scale of 1 to 10, your confidence level here on A to Z Sports Prime Time in the comments on Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitch, your Two Rivers Ford take. Before you hear from Ian Rappaport, who will explain the news in more detail, I will remind you quickly that the official headquarters of the 2021 Ford Bronco is Two Rivers Ford. Go test drive one. Go to Mount Juliet. Go visit their non-commissioned sales staff. You won't regret it. These are fantastic vehicles. GOAT mode is something that the 2021 Ford Bronco has in store. You can check that out, and you can test drive all their new or pre-owned vehicles out in Mount Juliet at the dealership, or go through the entire car purchasing process online at tworiversford.com. Here is Rap Sheet with the news of Bud Dupree's new deal with the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, the pass rush market seems to be, of every position going on now, the pass rush market seems to be the hottest, probably because there's so many players there. And of course, we've been focused on Shaq Barrett with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know they're still, even though the tampering window's open, I know they're still trying to work out a deal with him. But Bud Dupree's market seems especially strong. And again, there's a lot of really good pass rushers, from Romeo Okwara to Carl Lawson and Leonard Floyd. We've talked about several of them, but Bud Dupree, coming off an ACL, sounds like his rehab is going really well. I've talked to teams are not concerned about it at all. This could be a guy that ends up near or at the top of the pass rush market, can do a lot of things, but most important, get to the quarterback. Even though his health is something that in any other year you'd say was up in the air, this is a guy who really is going to get paid over the next couple of days.
And so he did get paid $16.5 million for Bud Dupree, according to Rap Sheet. That, of course, from the NFL Network. The Titans have fixed their pass rush. Not only have they signed Bud Dupree, who, by the way, if you listen to the radio show on 104.5 The Zone, we do Mock Draft Monday. I'm going to write an article about this tonight. No sleep during during NFL free agency, just in general, because it's not over yet. But I'll write an article tonight around what John Ledyard, our buddy from Pewter Report, had to say about the Tennessee Titans and Bud Dupree. Why it makes all the sense in the world. Why it's not just a one-hit wonder for the situation with Bud Dupree being a part of the Tennessee Titans defense and being exactly what they need. The situation here in Nashville is you need a top-end pass rusher. Harold Landry is a nice piece. He is probably going to break double-digit sacks only so many times in his career. I look at him more like I looked at Brian Orakpo and Derek Morgan, who hovered right around 8.5, 9 sacks per year. Bud Dupree is going to be the difference maker, not only because what he'll create on his own, but what he will create for Harold Landry, for Jeffrey Simmons. Denico Autry factors that in as well. He is an exceptional defensive tackle. Jeffrey Simmons now going to play more of your nose without Daquan Jones, but you are getting pressure from two players who know how to step things up and who understand the gap assignments, who understand the versatility that's going to be required of them in a Mike Vrabel / Shane Bowen defense. Scale of 1 to 10. What is your confidence level in what John Robinson did tonight? Everybody is, dude, I'm God. I'm so happy. Bro says, dude, yes, this was the thing. So I started the radio show. I'm on from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. By the way, we'll have a bunch of insight and analysis available for you, not only tonight on primetime. The 615 sessions will come out tomorrow. It'll be great. The radio show, we are already locked and loaded with great guests who will analyze this in detail for you and explain it from a schematic standpoint. But everybody was freaking out, right? Because I put out an hour before shit got nuts on the legal tampering period, which essentially just allows agents to begin negotiating. At 11 a.m. this morning, at about 10, probably about 9:45, I said, prepare yourselves for a mass Titans free agent exodus. But please do not overreact. And then I sat back and waited for you guys to overreact, because that's what you do. And I love you to death. It's okay. Because when you saw Jonnu Smith was out the door, when you saw when you saw Corey Davis was out the door, that was the indication that none of these guys are coming back. Jayon Brown is out. Daquan Jones is out. Desmond King is out. So is Jadeveon Clowney, and on down the list it goes. And by the way, the Titans are still going to have to make some kind of financial flexibility for themselves. We await to see how the Bud Dupree contract in particular is structured, because it's going to have to be pretty team-friendly in year one, and that's typically a John Robinson trait. But I told you guys, don't overreact. And then what happened? You saw all of the signings today. You saw Jonnu Smith get basically Derrick Henry's contract from the Patriots. You saw the Patriots just spending like drunk college kids with their first bar tab open. Like, this is the situation where you just wait, sit back, and let the people whose job it is to do this figure out the best way to do their jobs. Whatever happened to John Robinson last year in free agency, it's done. It's over. Those deals are gone. The slate is wiped clean. And now, given not just Bud Dupree, but Kendall Lamb, who is an offensive tackle who will be making about $4 million a year. He's going to push Dennis Kelly on the right side. He's going to help you with the swing ability because he can play on the left. He can catch touchdown passes as he did against you when he was a Cleveland Brown. You have Denico Autry, who's going to help you get pressure from the interior next to Jeffrey Simmons. It'll be very, very similar to how good the Colts defense was when it was Autry next to DeForest Buckner. That is something you can very, very much anticipate. But the thing that I kept telling you, just let John work, okay? I know sometimes it sounds like I'm carrying water for this guy, but I really do believe him to be good at his job. And again, he shows you when you are up against it, you got no money to spend. And somehow he finds a way, him and Vin Marino, their salary cap specialist, to make these deals work in the best possible situation for you. Bud Dupree, Denico Autry, and Kendall Lamb address three major issues that allow you flexibility to go after corners in the draft, to go after wide receivers, to still get pass rush help, to address safety elsewhere. You're going to be okay. And I don't know how many times I had to tell you this, but you're going to be okay. That's the situation that the Titans find themselves in. Scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in what John Robinson did today? Quez is not confident. He says 4 out of 10. That's okay. That's a healthy skepticism. I'm not here to, tell Quez how to think one way or the other. I'm just giving you the information that's at my disposal. Antoine says he's at an 8. So does King Lou on Periscope. Adam on Facebook says he's at a 9. I see Pato and Titan8251 at an 8 and a 6, respectively. Davidson Crooks says 7.5 in regards to John Robinson's move. Brandon Clark says, you're right. Another broken player is going to fix us just like Clowney did, right? I watch every single minute of every game. Brandon, what the hell are you talking about? This is not the same situation as Jadeveon Clowney. This is nowhere close. Bud Dupree, he has an ACL. Jadeveon Clowney has a history of knee issues, and last year it was impossible. I mean, it wasn't impossible, but it was much more difficult to evaluate the medicals because of the pandemic. Brandon, I love you. I hope you come back every night, and we appreciate your commentary. Your opinion is always welcome here. But get your head out of your ass. What do you mean I watch every single minute of every game? Brandon, I am paid an outrageous amount of money to watch every single minute of every single game 10 times over and go watch the Pittsburgh Steelers and tell you that Bud Dupree is a substantial upgrade over anything that you had. Brandon, help me help you. Buddy, you have to understand that the situation, the place that you're in is markedly, Brandon, what would you like them to do? I mean, honestly, what would you have them do? Would you have them go after a player who was lesser and not take the risk? Would you rather John Robinson be neutered by fear from an offseason that didn't go well for him last year and not take swings? Would you rather live in cowardice and fear and skepticism in a way that it's so much easier to be? Just because you're on the internet and it's easier to say skeptical things about things that you listen, Brandon, I love that you watch every minute, every game, but you're going to have to sit there and admit that you don't know what the hell you're talking about if that's the way you're thinking, because this is not the same one-to-one situation. Tonight, John Robinson got the Tennessee Titans better. You didn't have to choose deaths, Brandon, says Alex. Stop. He's already dead, says D-Mails. I'm just saying, it's going to be okay. Guys, I don't know why you do this to yourselves. It feels like a terrible way to exist. Titans for Life says, let's all pump the brakes, not get too high or too low. Okay, Vrabel. This is not the savior of the Tennessee Titans. They still have to live up to expectations. By the way, you still need wide receiver help. You still need tight end help. You still need defensive line help. Hell, I would take another pass rusher in the draft. Corners are out there in free agency. You can get one cheaper, and you're going to need help. They shouldn't be done. And this does not automatically fix all of the ills that they have. But trust and know that you are a hell of a lot better off in a position as a well-rounded football team. Yes, your offense suffered a little bit, but your defense is substantially better straight out of the gate. That much you know. That is the biggest issue that John Robinson had to fix. Jaquan says, what the buck, Brand? I know. Listen, I try to tell everybody, but nobody wants to listen to me. Nobody wants to choose logic and reason. It's okay, except for, you know what? That's not fair. That's not fair to most of you, because most of you are great. Excuse me while I take a drink. It's been a long day. My God. I got off the radio show, and I know Rappaport broke all the news today. But it's been a pain in the ass to try and track down these things and make sure that I was educated on the front end after the radio show, trying to get the 615 Sessions podcast organized, and then come sit down here and talk to you on primetime. But that's okay, damn it, because we're not tired yet. Scale of 1 to 10. What do you make of the moves that John Robinson, how confident are you in what John Robinson did today? And it's only day one, remember, of the legal tampering period, rather the negotiation period, where agents and teams can communicate across the board. You guys let me know what your number is. I will tell you what my number is here in just a second, right after I remind you about our friends at Brymac Mechanical. BRYMAK, Brymac.com, satisfaction guarantee. When it gets too hot in my house because I'm pissed off at people like Brandon, I'm not mad at you, Brandon, I promise I'm not. But that's how I need to make sure that my AC is working. You know how I make sure that my AC is working so I don't blow a gasket when I'm yelling at Brandon? I trust the fine folks at Brymac for preventative maintenance on my HVAC units. Brymac.com, 3 locations in Middle Tennessee and in Southern Kentucky. They will take care of you the same way that they take care of me at Brymac Mechanical. Jeff Charles says on Facebook, on YouTube, Jeff says Titan fans on some bullshit as a whole. I mean, I'm not upset because people freaked out. I'm not, I understand it. Okay. This is something, it's what we, it's what we go through every year, whether it's you guys as fans or me in the media trying to talk you off the ledge. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can be on some bullshit and it be okay. Like, I'm not upset. That's what this time of year is for. It honestly makes it more fun when you guys are on some bullshit because, it allows us to react or overreact or, try and underreact to get you guys back. It's a whole back and forth. That's the whole, it's the whole reason the primetime show exists, the radio show exists, and the podcast exists. Of course, Jared King says Brandon has left the chat. Yeah, maybe it was too hard on Brandon. Here tonight on A to Z Sports Primetime from the DraftKings Sportsbook Studios. Scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel? How confident are you in the moves that John Robinson makes? So I will tell you that I'm at about an 8.5. I really feel good about what it is that they did. I think that the situation for the Tennessee Titans is going to be something that you really, really find palatable. I think that what John Robinson did is solid. Remember that you should not be done. Inside linebacker is still a need. I don't know how they would find the money. I have to wait until I see what Bud Dupree's contract looks like before I can kind of work my way through this, because it's complex math that they're having to do to make sure all these things work. And by the way, I don't think that just because these moves are done or will be done when the official league year starts at 3 p.m. on Wednesday, that there will not be some things that have to be done, whether it's extensions to alleviate some cap pressure, whether it's restructures to make sure that you have some more financial flexibility. Like, I don't think that the Titans are done with trying to rework their own roster to make sure that these moves work. But there are still some other positions that need to be addressed. And free agency, fortunately for you, just got started. 10, we need a wide receiver, Fuller, Juju, or Kenny, says Blake Stewart. I think that is aiming pretty high. I think it's going to be a much lower level of player. Scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in what John Robinson did today? I am sitting here at an 8.5. We have the training staff to get him back up to speed. Did it with Simmons and hopefully with Lawan, says Travis White. Travis is talking about Bud Dupree. So let's do some research on the fly. I'm going to look up when Bud Dupree tore his ACL this last season, and we will get a better timeline. So it was late. It was in December, which means he may not be ready for the start of the season. Now, that's the risk that you run with an ACL. Now, ACLs are very routine. ACLs are much more commonplace. You hope the best for Taylor Lewan if you're a Titans fan, because you're going to need him on the left side. You're going to hope that the situation for I blanked on what I was talking about. Oh, Taylor Lewan for Bud Dupree is going to get better and not rush him back, because they're going to need him, right? And they may not have him out of the gate. Jared King says, RIP to Corey Davis's career in New York. I know. I really hate that for him. I said it all year long. I didn't want to believe it, but I knew that he was going to end up. As a New York Jet, and I hate that for him. But we'll talk about that coming up next. Scale of 1 to 10. How confident are you in the moves that John Robinson made today? I am at an 8.5. I think John did about as well as could be hoped for at this point. They are in a really good spot with the things that they absolutely needed to address. Jonah Clemens says we got worse, and I'm just being real honestly. No, Jonah, I think you're ill-informed. I don't want to say that you don't know what you're talking about, but there's no way that you got worse when your pass rush got better. You couldn't, your offense may be a little worse, but you have a you have a franchise quarterback. You have an all-star running back. You have a bona fide number one wide receiver, and you have one of the better offensive lines in football. Jonah, I almost said a bad word that I never say on the primetime show. Jonah, you almost got me there. Pretty close there, bud. But no, they didn't get worse. It's going to be okay. Breathe. 10 deep breaths or 20 short ones. Whatever gets you through. Here on A to Z Sports Prime Time. Overpay for Dupree greater than overpay for Judon, says D. Good. Yeah, and you did pay Bud Dupree more than Matt Judon got paid with the New England Patriots. I think they were waiting for that deal to fall to see what the market would look like for Bud Dupree, and ultimately they fell on what they found with the Titans. Don't pull a Brandon, Jonas, says Jared King. I know, I just don't have the energy to yell at everybody. New game, try to get Buck to freak out, says C. Smith 0607. No, we don't have time for that. Buck gonna lose his job over this dude. Baby, no, I'm locked in. I got two contracts. Boy has two contracts. Bud Dupree's only got one contract. Your boy has two. I'm not going anywhere, unfortunately, for everybody in this chat. Bud Dupree has a high motor, says iHoop training. Yes, John Ledyard, who is one of the best talent evaluators in all of NFL scouting. We had him on the radio show today. I will tweet out that podcast after the primetime show is done. John said that you will never have to worry about the thing that you worried most about with Vic Beasley and Jadeveon Clowney. Bud Dupree loves football. It's so cliche. It is such a generic description, generic analysis, but you know what? When it's true, it matters. Bud Dupree loves professional football. Effort, energy, intensity, not going to be something that you have to worry about. Your biggest concern now becomes how soon can Bud Dupree get out on the field? Let's move on and let's talk about Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith. Who are the Titans going to miss most between those two? Let me know on Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitch TV which player will be missed most by the Titans, given that Jonah wants to freak out about who they're going to miss. We can do that here tonight on A to Z Sports Prime Time. Brock Kraft says, coming off Panda, that's a big deal. Remember, you're still going to take a cap hit from Isaiah Wilson because you had to eat some of his contract to send him down to Miami. So remember that. Just pay close attention to that with when the salary cap is made official on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Central Time. But in the meantime, who are you going to miss more, Corey Davis or Jonnu Smith? Give me your answer in the comments on Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitch TV. We will discuss at length together. I see a lot of answers for Jonnu, but I don't know. I mean, some Davis, but more Jonnu. Anyway, we'll talk about it together. You'll hear from one of these two players here in just a second, right after I remind you about DraftKings Sportsbook. Go. I'm threatening you. I'm threatening you right now. If you are not using the DraftKings Sportsbook app, and if you are not plugging that promo code A to Z Sports in, I feel for you because you're losing money. Go make money. Go do the no-brainer bets, the odds boost, I'm forgetting the name of the profit boost bets. All of them, they are no-brainer, and they make it so easy for you. With things like March Madness, we know that the tournament is finally here. It gets going on Thursday, and DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is putting new customers in the center of the action. Bet $4 on an underdog, win $256 if they win. It's just that simple. There's no better way to put your college basketball knowledge to the test than to put your money where your mouth is with DraftKings Sportsbook. So go download the app, plug in the promo code A to Z Sports, turn $4 into $256 if the underdog of your choosing pulls up the upset. That's code A to Z Sports to turn $4 into $256 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. You must be 21 or older, Tennessee only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789 in the DraftKings Sportsbook app using the promo code A to Z Sports. Go plug it in. Let us take your answers. Who are the Titans going to miss most? Ty Sloan on YouTube says Jonnu, as does D. Good. He's also on YouTube. Tyler Stone is saying Davis. Chris Frazier is a noted Corey Davis hater. He says definitely not Davis. Philan says Jonnu, as does C. Smith. I see Eric Torres, Mario, Todd, Carl, Brian, Jared King, Ryan Dodd, Jeff Sawyer, Corey D. Jackson. Everybody is saying Jonnu Smith. And you know what? You're damn right. Jonnu Smith's going to be a lot harder to replace than Corey Davis, even as there was some concern about the long-term issues that he's been having with his knees.
Do so much, man, and it requires a lot. And, we take that role. We take that role on with a lot of pride, and we embrace it. You know what I mean? Because it's a pleasure to us, man, to be able to just do so many different things for his offense. Like I said, man, it gives defenses so many problems. They come out and they see us. The number one thing, the first thing that the defense primarily does, see where the tight end is at. You know what I mean? And, based on that, they make their calls. You know what I mean? So, because particularly that's where, offense set the strength for the formation, but you can kind of play with defenses, man, and just have 2-3 tight ends on the field. And, then you got, defenses making all different kinds of calls, man. But, we're just trying to, get out there and not trying to, but we are, doing what we're supposed to do, you know what I mean? And making plays when we're afforded to, and just, taking advantage of the opportunity.
That's Jonnu Smith in one of our last media availabilities with him before he signed a 4-year, $50 million deal with the New England Patriots. But you got to remember this, right? Not every offense budgets for both a tight end and a running back. You know who's making $12.5 million a year? Jonnu Smith. You know who else is making $12.5 million a year? Derrick Henry. The budget for the Titans, they gave Derrick Henry what normally in most any other offense, because not very many of their offense pay a running back, they gave Derrick Henry what would normally be in another team on another franchise, the budget for Jonnu Smith. That is how you have to think about the situation with Derrick Henry and with Jonnu. Cedric says Delanie Walker out there. Cedric, stop it. Delanie Walker is 110 years old. What are you going to do with Delanie Walker? No, it's just so. I'm not upset. I'm just disappointed. Delanie Walker is not a feasible option at this point. Don't even think that way. Don't utter that into existence. It's not going to happen. So let go and let God. Delanie Walker is not coming in here to fix your tight end position. You need to get younger, not older and slower. You lack explosion. Delanie's not fixing that. Ajet says Hunter Henry, that's not an option. The money is not out there. Do we have enough to go after one of these wide receivers? Says Mr. Aurelio. I mean, you're going to have to. Buck is in a bad mood today, says Kunal. No, I mean, I'm not in a bad mood. I'm not in a bad mood. And I'm sorry if I'm coming off that way. Like if I'm being too harsh on you guys, I don't mean to be. But there are some things that are a good degree more ridiculous that I would hope, people have enough logic and common sense to know that it's not the right answer. But what you're losing in a tight end is explosion, speed, versatility. Delanie is not giving you any of those things at 34 years old. I'm sorry. It's a lovely story. He's a wonderful person. I miss talking to him in the locker room. I hope to God that I don't have to see him play professional football at 34 for a team that I cover, because that's not winning football. So let me not get upset with you guys. I just ask you to think about what you're saying. Think about what you're saying. Buck coming at the room like that professor on tenure, says Dean Ward. Man, I got to give it to y'all straight. I honestly do. And missing 5 games a year says, at 37, Delaney Walker, is Delaney Walker 37? No, I think he's 34. Hang on. Let me Google this really quick. I thought when I was doing the radio show today, I saw that he was 34. Delaney Walker is currently, oh my God, he's 36. Oh, no, what? What are we even talking about here? Now I'm upset with you. You're going to bring in a 37-year-old tight end with a snapped ankle last you saw him? Now I'm upset at you. Stop it. What is wrong with you guys? Cedric, he's 37 years old. Stop. Please. God. It's just, I can't let you guys live this way. You're going to bring in damn near a 40-year-old tight end, and that's your solution to replace Jonnu Cedric. Baby, I say this because I love you. I say this because I need you to be better. Watch the tape and improve. Please, dear God. I sound like a crazy person. I'm sitting in my office by myself. I'm not actually, you guys are talking to me via the comments, of course, but I'm literally just laughing to myself like an insane person at how bad a decision that would be. Cedric, a 40-year-old tight end damn near, off of major ankle reconstruction surgery. That's your solution? God. I love you guys to death, but don't do this to me. Just go get Cedric left the room, says Bavin. I know, I'm running people off. I need to stop. Yelling at people. I'm sorry. Draft an effing tight end, says Tyler Stone. Yes, take Delaney Walker's advice. Bud is a 5-year. Okay, so we have facts and figures, it sounds like, on Bud Dupree. Let me read them to you. Where is that being seen? Hang on one second as I scroll through quickly the information that I can find from Rap Sheet. Where is the deal? I'm not seeing it, but I did not see 5 years. Only that it's a multi-year deal for Bud Dupree here in Tennessee. So keep an eye out for the money on that at this point. Just that it's a multi-year deal for $16.5 million a year. I don't see a five-year deal. Okay. Here are the terms for courtesy of NFL Update. Okay, forgive me. I don't have them on my notifications. Titans are signing former Steelers pass rusher Bud Dupree to a 5-year, $82.5 million deal, 35 guaranteed for the NFL Network. That's important. So I need to know how much he's making in year one to know for certain what this is going to do to your finances in year one. It's official already, says Just a Fan. Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. Well, Emily Proud just retweeted something that says 5-year 85. Okay. Now that 82.5 is what the NFL Network is saying. So it's a lot of money, but it's 5-year solution. That's hopefully you don't have to worry about your pass rush again for at least another 3 years. This is supposed to be, it's not just a quick fix, right? Because you're building for the future. Remember that Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith are allowed to let walk because in the future, being next year, because you can't just plan out 2021. It has to be about 22 and really 23 as well. AJ Brown's going to be doing a new deal. Nate Davis, who's a stud right guard, is going to be doing a new deal. And then you're going to have to think about Jeffrey Simmons, who's a first-round pick. So you've got a little more maneuverability on that contract. But you are going to end up having to pay Jeffrey Simmons on down the line because these are guys that can't miss at this point. For however inconsistent Corey Davis and however slow to start Jonnu Smith were to their careers, that's not the case for any of those three players. I mean, Nate Davis, okay, in year one, not like overwhelming, but he was an absolute shit kicker in year two, and he's only going to get better with the rest of that offensive line. Cap goes up next year, says Focus. Yes, that is true. It's not going to totally reset, but it's going to get a little better for sure. Didn't we get the Vandy tight end? Pinkney, says Focus. Yeah, he's on like a futures contract, which does not necessarily mean that he makes the team. The Patriots went ham, says Kalen. Yeah, the Jonnu Smith contract was big and bad. But like I said, that was your budget for an offensive skill player. and you gave it to Derrick Henry. The Patriots just chose to allocate that money for Jonnu Smith. Anyway, let's move on and talk about what Jon Robinson should do next. Because at this point, Jon is in a much better position than he was only an hour ago. I say draft Pitts, tight end from Florida. He's going to be long gone by the time you get to 22, AJ. Again, so go get Golden Tate. Stop. Why? What? AJ, I can't yell at any more people tonight. AJ, all I'm going to say to you is, one, Kyle Pitts isn't going to be there. Two, Golden Tate is not a solution. Let me breathe. OG Will Aikens says Golden Tate seems like a no-brainer, and OG is usually more sound in his thinking. I just Emmanuel Sanders, if you're going to sign a veteran free agent wide receiver, I'm not going to allow for the Golden Tate stupidity. It's not stupid. You're not stupid if you want Golden Tate. There are reasons why you want Golden Tate. One thing I would say to you is that Golden Tate is not better than Emmanuel Sanders for what you need him to do. And we'll leave it at that. I'm not going to yell at anybody anymore tonight. I'm too tired. And I got a lot more work to do. Higgins wouldn't be bad either. Yes, you can find guys in the draft. Buck is just going to shut it down if these ignorant comments keep rolling in. No, listen, I'm not mad at you guys. It's just, I see, there's a ton of questions, and a lot of them, not a lot of them. Most of them make good and common sense, and some of them that don't. And I need to be more patient. Forgive me. That's a bad habit for me. But it happens when you just sit here and yell for 5.5 hours a day. Anyway, what should Jon Robinson do next? That is how we will end tonight's show. Before I get to work on writing and putting together tonight's 615 or tomorrow's 615 Sessions podcast, because I'm going to do it tonight. The question that I have for you guys is what should Jon Robinson do next? Sorry, I was getting some text from a couple of NFL players, not just Titans players, about Bud Dupree, which I'm going to have to vet before I give that information to you. But maybe we'll save that for what I'm going to write tonight. Here on A to Z Sports Nashville.com. What does Jon Robinson need to do next? Let me know on Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitch TV. I will tell you in the meantime about our friends at the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. Your dream address without the stress. Bud Dupree, he's going to find his courtesy of the Ashton team. You got a big old bag. Gary Ashton, the official real estate agent of the Tennessee Titans. Gary's going to help him put that money to good use with a new home on his 5-year contract here in the mid-state. You trust the Ashton team because they're local, because they're working for you, because they want to make sure that you are in the best possible position as somebody who is either buying in Middle Tennessee real estate, or if you're selling, they want to make sure that you sell for more with the Gary Ashton team and all of the new buyers that are coming into this market, because everybody wants to live in Nashville. You guys know this. GaryAshton.com, the official real estate agent of all your favorite pro sports teams and your favorite sports streaming talk show. Quit sugarcoating shit, Buck. Donnie says, tell him how you feel. No, I mean, I need to be nicer. I need to have more patience. What should Jon Robinson do next? So here's what Jon Robinson was saying when last we spoke to him in our Zoom availability. Well, it's not the last time I spoke to him. He was on the radio show a couple weeks ago. But Jon Robinson, when last he held a Zoom conference with us, and likely we will hear from him again, probably not before. I would be surprised if we heard from him this week, since there's more free agency stuff to be done. But early next week, I would probably anticipate hearing from Jon Robinson again. In the meantime, Jon kind of gave us a hint at what his strategy moving forward would be. This was Jon Robinson the last time he spoke with us via Zoom.
No, that's a great question, Buck. I mean, I think that, it's going to be similar to what we did last year. I mean, this you're trying to develop a relationship and get to know these players over a Wi-Fi connection, which isn't the best way to do it, but it's the hand that we've all been dealt. I think what I have tried and what we've talked about trying to do is being more inclusive with other members of the organization, of the football staff, to have maybe more people on the call they can read body language, they can look at and listen to these prospects. so that we get different opinions on how they're performing, with the questions that we're asking.
So that was John Robinson. Titans Kyle says, you just wanted to hear J-Rob say, great question, Buck. You know what? That's true. I did want to hear John Robinson say, great question, Buck. In fact, I think I'd like to hear it again.
No, that's a great question, Buck.
I honestly didn't know. I didn't know what clip that Reed, producer Reed does a great job. And I asked him for one clip talking about the draft process, because I think John's not done with free agency, and he's not done with maneuvering some of the finances with guys currently on the roster. But I think largely the bulk of the free agency work has been addressed. Now you'll need to fill out the back end of the roster with depth players. They have a great need on special teams. There's a lot of guys out there who are not in position, or who there's just a lot of turnover right now. So John's not done with free agency, but I think largely you can start to hammer down on the draft being your next greatest impact for the players that you're looking for. I think you can still find a depth wide receiver. You need somebody out of the slot, not just a number two. I think you can still find good tight ends out there, even if they're not starting level. Maybe you can find a rookie who you are comfortable with putting next to a replacement level starter, because you're going to have to find replacements for Jonnu Smith. But yes, I largely did want to hear John Robinson say, great question, Buck. And in fact, I think I want to hear it again.
No, that's a great question, Buck. I think.
All right, I'm done trolling you. Tonight on A to Z Sports Primetime. Focus on the draft is what John Robinson should do next. That is what I think should be largely the situation. Cam Batson is our wide receiver too. That is by far our biggest hole. No other position comes close, as OG Will Aiken. Brother, I do not disagree. They have to do something about the wide receiver. I think it both has to be via the draft and in free agency. They're going to have to make some moves. You should make that your ringtone, Bucks, is Titans for life. Hey, but yes, Blake Stewart says the same thing on Facebook Live. The only appear on Bussin' with the Boys, says Cody Brooks. You want John on the bus? I don't think John wants to do the bus. I think John supports the bus from afar. I don't think John has much interest in getting on the bus, although that would be good. I would be curious to see how Will and Taylor interviewed. Well, one, at this point, as of Wednesday, it will be Will's former boss. We'll see if he ends up coming back. By the way, Will Compton will be on the radio show on Wednesday, so I'm sure we'll ask him about all this, whether he's employed yet in the NFL. But to hear Taylor Lewan interview his boss would be quite uncomfortable, I think, and also good. So I think that would be a good interview if they are able to get it. Curtis Samuel, sign him, says Brian Bell. I really like Curtis Samuel too. The money. Every time I say that they don't have the money, they find the money. So let me not talk anymore about the money. But I just don't know that the finances make sense at this point. I love Elijah Moore. Corey D. Jackson says Elijah Moore from Mississippi, from Ole Miss. Yes, that would be 100% ideal. If he's on the board at 22, talent. He's absolutely talent. And if you like him better than the edge rushers that are sitting there or the corners that are sitting there, draft talent overall. Especially if you feel like he's going to work well, which he would work well in an offense across from A.J. Brown. You know what else is going to work well? This primetime show. It is only Monday. The NFL free agency news, it's going to continue to roll. I'm literally, as soon as I end this show, I am going to close out my browser on the distribution method for the primetime show, and I'm going to start writing an article. And that's going to be available to you at A2ZSportsNashville.com. I'm going to give you some information about the Titans' pursuit of Bud Dupree. I'm going to crank out a 615 Sessions podcast to hit your podcast feeds in the morning. I'm going to do a 3-hour radio show about all of this and give you great guests from across the NFL. We're going to provide insights on this very subject matter. We're going to do it all for you because we love you to death. And you know what? We're damn sure not tired yet. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy what is going to continue to be just absolute craziness out on the open market. You're going to start seeing more Titans defections. Expect all of the guys, Jayon Brown, Desmond King, Daquan Jones, Jadeveon Clowney, they're going to end up elsewhere. But in the meantime, we're going to keep tabs of all of that for you. Because like I said, I'm just not tired yet.